What's up, Barefoot Nation? Today we're gonna go inside for a grow space tour, a 2021 grow space tour. Let's go! So, as you can see, with the grow light being on, it's not exactly the most comfortable thing to look at. Even though this light is better with more blue light, it is better than my last one. But, I'm gonna wait until the light shuts off to continue with this video. Alright, so now that the lights have shut off, we can get a little bit better of a look at what's growing on down in my grow space. So, you may have seen on my Instagram that I've had to do a bit of a purge of some of my infected plants. I had a variety of taro called Pink China, which had mosaic virus from the start, but for whatever reason it spread to other things, kind of like a quietly brewing disease. So I've unfortunately had to just kind of put outside a lot of my different tropical plants, which you know, really sucked. But the fact of the matter is you know, I didn't want to risk the rest of them, and I still have a couple that I have my eye on, like this Alocasia black stem right here. It doesn't look, it looks more like it's a deficiency type thing. It doesn't look like mosaic virus because it's not quite so defined. It's kind of just like more of a chlorosis type thing. So whereas the mosaic virus would be like, it would be the veins, but it would be a very white, blotchy type deal. The plants that I keep in the grow space are not necessarily all tropical, like the African gold Calla Lily. And I actually have, if you can see right in here, I actually have some hardy gladiolas, those two grassy looking plants right there. However, I do like to give some of these younger plants a little bit of an edge as far as growing for next year. Another thing you'll notice is I grow a lot of herbs in the house. So I'm actually not even sure what kind of mint it is. I've got a eucalyptus, little baby eucalyptus right there. But I've got some mint. I've got a cutting of eucalyptus. My mom usually gets chocolate in these, or in this case, this is a little pineapple container. So I like to do that to start cuttings. And actually, all of these mint plants right here, except for this spearmint right here, were from cutting. This basil was from the grocery store. As you can see right there, that sorry looking basil was a cutting. I don't think I water that guy enough. Watering is, when these plants are indoors, is one of the most complicated things to do because they need to be drier in most cases than they would outside. But obviously the plant still needs water, so it can't be bone dry. So in my case, I have, it's kind of hard to see, but I have a heat mat that's 4 feet long and 2 feet wide. And I'm planning on getting a second one so that I have more of this concrete floor that is insulated. Because it can get, not cold down here, but it can get somewhat chilly. As you can see too, I do start my Amaryllis down in the grow room. I like to leave the Amaryllis under grow lights until they're at about this phase right here. And then I'll bring them upstairs and put them in obviously lower light. But basically what that's going to do in most cases is it's going to prevent the stems from elongating too much to where they need to be staked. But obviously they're still going to stretch a little bit when they're upstairs in lower light. This is in the basement. So this is basement horticulture, but the legal kind. Another super notable plant that I just got in the fall is this Alocasia Imperial Red. And so basically this is for me it's a new variety of Alocasia. I think it's just a new variety in general because I can't even find that many images on Google. As you can see, the new leaf, it has overcome some nutrient deficiencies. The reason I've been having nutrient deficiencies is that I mix used coffee grounds into my potting media, and I need to let that sit and kind of decompose. You know, the nitrogen needs to become available to the plant, and in the meantime, the plant is actually just going to be deficient in nitrogen. The problem with just using a nitrogen-heavy fertilizer is then, when that nitrogen does become available, what's going to happen is you're going to have an excess of nitrogen, and then you will get aphids. And as I mentioned earlier with the mosaic virus, aphids and mealybugs and the sap-sucking insects are one of the main vectors for that disease. But this plant actually had mealybugs on it, so it's good for me to pull this one out and just kind of check right in here. Is kind of a common place for them to sit, and then also kind of in the crevices. But you can see this plant is this Alocasia is a beautiful kind of cherry red type stem, and just absolutely beautiful. I love this plant. I can't wait for it to get big. Another plant that I'm super excited about down here is this cigar plant right here, and the Latin name for that is Calathea lutea. And the reason I like it is whenever you see a video of like a villa in Bali or other tropical locations, these plants are all over the place. So although it's not a colorful Calathea, it'll grow big and it'll be super impactful in the garden as it matures. And right next to that Calathea lutea, I have a beautiful canary wing begonia, and I definitely underestimate how much I enjoy having annual color around, or flowers, just in this case, because it's just a joy to have this very green grow space and have the begonias, which are here flowering, and they've been flowering since, I don't know, probably November, since they kind of woke back up from getting frosted. Here you'll notice too, I'm actually really excited about this plant. I've got a Japuertia or Calathea white fusion with begonia seed and dead flowers. This white fusion's actually doing really well for me. I think the main struggle people have with these guys is that they get disheartened when they take them home from the nursery. They're gonna throw a fit. I mean, they're gonna totally defoliate. What I like to do, what I did with this guy is I bought it sometime during the summer and I took it home, had it outside, it threw its fit, and I basically just forgot about it. And I had it in my nursery area with all sorts of other potted plants. And basically by the time it got cold, it had regrown totally. I mean, this plant was sopping wet while it was regrowing. So I think if I hadn't buried it with other plants, I would have been like, whoa, that is way too wet for a Calathea. You know, but it was getting filtered sun in the morning for a couple hours, which is probably more sun than most people would recommend for a Calathea. But alas, it's absolutely gorgeous and hanging right in there. Indoors, you do need to keep them pretty evenly moist. Got a little oak sapling right here. I always have squirrels burying acorns in my pots because the potting mix is so nice and fluffy. I potted it up by itself, and as you can see, story of this winter growing season is that it needs to hang tight while the coffee grounds decompose and give it the nitrogen that it needs. This is a ginger rhizome, believe it or not, that I just bought from the grocery store. The best place, you can get these little plugs from certain companies, but you can also get them from the grocery store and have them grow. They do take a long time to germinate. I live in Zone 6A in Western New York, and our summer is just long enough that if you start them early and you break their dormancy indoors under lights, this is obviously a plant from last year that I didn't harvest. You can actually grow them and get them to have a harvest by the very end of the season. And the best way to keep ginger that you don't eat is to keep it growing. I've also got a Fatsia spider's web, which is a new plant for me. I've never grown Fatsia before. You know, it's finally time. I just caved in and bought it, and you know, I haven't regretted it one bit. They kind of do from a distance look like they're infected with insects, this variegation pattern. That is kind of a drawback to that variegation, but if you do grow them outdoors for the summer and you have native plants around, you shouldn't have too much of an issue with mealybugs or anything like that. Of course, I can't do a video about my grow space without showcasing this beautiful Monstera, which looks as though it's climbing the brick wall, but in fact it's not. It's kind of close, and I think it'd be cool if it did, but at the same time, I don't think my parents would be too happy about that. So, and then of course right here, next to this old bicycle, which is just basement junk. I have dormant bananas and dormant elephant ears. Of course, right here is my kind of sad looking coffee plant, which has been with me for quite a while. I think it's a type of chlorosis because the older leaves in the center are dropping off, and the new leaves are kind of like have some of that typical chlorosis pattern. Then I got a little Yucca rostrata right here. Excuse me, that's not a Yucca rostrata. It's the tropical one. It's Yucca elephantiepes. And that was actually a cutting, believe it or not. The greenhouse I work at, we had, for whatever reason, a lot of the yuccas had some of these shoots broken off. And I asked my boss if I could have them to make cuttings out of, and, you know, he let me have them. So that was pretty cool. Of course, right here I've got a Phalaenopsis, beautiful Phalaenopsis orchid, which I completely impulse bought one day at the grocery store. I don't know the cultivar, unfortunately, but it is just a stunning orchid, and it's a good way. Phals are generally considered to be easy orchids to grow, so it's a good plant for me to kind of get back into orchids. Besides like Blatilla striata or the Chinese ground orchid. I was relatively into orchids years ago, but I just didn't really have the time to dote on them like I should. So it's hopefully gonna make a comeback one day that I can have some nice orchids, but at the moment it's just this guy right here. And then here in front of the Yucca elephantiepes, I have a block. I want to call this Yucca rostrata for whatever reason. But in front of the the tropical yucca, I've got a little peace lily. This was actually eaten down totally by some rodent in the, you can see. It's not a bad pruning job, I swear. I had this outside with, nestled in with the Calathea white fusion I showed you earlier, and for whatever reason, the mouse just, or whatever it was, decided it would be a tasty snack. And it's rebounded nicely from that unwanted pruning. And then I have this little Tenanthe here, and this is actually cold damage. I don't think this got frost, but it definitely saw pretty dang close to frost. And this is a Tenanthe laburziana. Then I got a little sail pineapple here. Don't know the cultivar. I don't know if it'll ever produce fruit, but it was cheap. See? They were like $25 retail, and this was $10 because it was a lot smaller. So I was like, hell yeah! But yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily want to go over every plant in the grow space, but I guess a few more notable ones are little seed-grown Musa velutina, and this is another seed-grown plant, this Calla Lily right here. I don't remember if it was, I don't remember what it was from, which plant, because I grow a bunch of different callas. So it'll be very interesting to see what it grows into, and I'm happy that it's the arum-shaped leaf rather than kind of the more lance-shaped calla, because I like the arum leaf better. I figured you guys have heard it the whole way through, so I'll just cover this fountain as well. This is just a fountain I bought off Amazon. It was like $170, you know, which is kind of expensive for a resin fountain, but I bought it, I kind of went for it because one of the ways you can tell that a fountain is going to have good sound and not just be a piece of junk is that it's got a kind of a wide falls and then it's falling into a pool. So the other thing to keep in mind with fountains and waterfalls, the containerized, you know, the self-contained ones, is that the falls comes to a point right here. So it's impacting the water with just this one point. Anyway, guys, if you have a question about something I didn't cover in this video, be sure to drop it in the comments down below, and I look forward to hearing from you guys. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to give this video a big ol' thumbs up if you liked it. And if you want to see more content just like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button and tap the bell. And I'll say it again, I want to hear from you guys in the comments, so drop a comment down below what your favorite part of the video was, what plants you like that I'm growing, how do you set up your grow space? I'm curious to know. So anyway guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Damn, those salvias are alive! Holy fuck! Blooper! What's up, Barefoot Nation? Today we're gonna